Have you worked out what we're looking for? Correct. The answer is please ensure that you have your copybook at hand, as you'll be asked to take down notes from the screen at various points throughout the program. Again, man would be unable to process foods and would starve.
3 months ago, LivePerson was strangled by debt and potentially drowning in dilution, but something's changed. The stock that was supposed to stay buried is alive. Let's check it out. Why is it that LivePerson's moving so very, very much? Closed 9.9% up on the day and then another couple post-market. Is this the rise when LivePerson never looks back? Daily time frame, we pointed out this deep crab harmonic. It's got 3 targets. On the daily, target 1 is a 50 simple period moving average. It's not all that much to ask of price to test a 50 simple in a downtrend, having put in a new low and a base on price. It could come in here and put in a lower high. Target 2, that's the 200 period moving average. It can get there, exceed it and close below, and that's still not a big ask. Target 3, 786 looking left. It's also the C point on deep crab, and then target 4, that's your A point, as we explained on that harmonic walkthrough. So there's where price might be trying to get to. It has a number of areas to beat on the way. That's the daily, and it shows you that there's an awful lot of potential there. If we drop down to the 4-hour and say, why is it that we're looking at those specific levels? Is there anything else confluent with it? Well, obviously 200 comes in at target 1 here on the 4-hour. That's the way the maths is working. You've got your 236 that needs to break at 63 cents, but you've got a downward sloping trend line. The price action might also come up and test a 382 at 73 cents. So all of these levels are there for price to touch, especially that 73, 74 cents, where you're not even breaking the high in this phase of price action. So it could certainly go there, exceeding a 236 and holding 63 cents. That'd be big news. But why is it making this move? A lot of people would say the technical analysis isn't in your court. It's not doing you any favors. It only says downtrend. It only says risk. But actually, technical analysis is for so much more than what some people are using it for. And you can see if you stay on top of the chart, and you can stay on top of this chart 24/7. This is my live chart that's for everybody on my Patreon. You can see that there's a head and shoulders that took price down. The measured move from the breakdown there is the head to the neckline. Take that in here. Much of a muchness. Boom. That's the measured move that you got from your head and shoulders, the breakdown, double test of that area, extremely oversold, at which point price action likely does find a little bit of a lift and a big move today. The question is this then a double bottom? With the wick here looking left, you can see plenty of reason to say that it might be, right? This was your double bottom before, a higher low, double test that area. That's where support came in and where the trend potentially changed. The first change in that sequence of higher lows, higher highs began with this X, and that trend will persist if price action holds this level, higher low, higher highs, and that's happened a couple of times. So if you can hold this, amazingly, I wouldn't quite describe it as an uptrend, but I'd say that this phase of price action continues, and that's positive considering what took us here. And talking about what took us here gives insight into where price might go next. The way that these head and shoulders work is that price action takes the breakdown move and then tests the breakout point. And this is where you'd be looking to, that 83 cents. On the 4-hour, you can see quite clearly it's in and around where you'll find a 200 period moving average, just above the 50% retracement. And that works perfectly for a test in price and trend, which is something you would anticipate seeing with price action so oversold. Down at the 1-hour time frame then, and you can see this downward sloping diagonal, the price action managed to take a touch above today and then come back in and close on in around that 56.10 level. So price action testing that downward sloping diagonal, And then the horizontals within this price action before 68 cents, back up, testing it around 72, 73, and then you've got your 200 period moving average coming in at around 76, 78 cents. So these are the levels where price action can go to naturally without too much effort, though a lot of effort was made with volume today up the wazoo. So you're looking left and looking at this breakdown point from the head and shoulders down to as far as the hourly. You can see that there's an inverted head and shoulders on the RSI. More than got your move off the back of that. 50 simple at this point in time. Oh, pardon me. Coming in just in and around where we found that downward sloping diagonal. So price action pushing back above 57 as it is doing post market. Very, very positive. One of the things some people might be worried about is this gap that price action left when it moved back to the top side. Are gaps filled on LivePerson? Well, it's come back down to macro lows, so clearly they have been, but that's got nothing to do with gap theory itself. Very much a short-term trading phenomenon. You're looking at things in the immediate aftermath, and that 4 hour managed to pull away. So if we open and close tomorrow with another positive day, then depending on the level of resistance the price reaches, it might well be that that's not even on the calendar for a check or a retest anytime soon. Does it have to be filled? No, not necessarily. If you want to go back in time on most charts, you'll find there are some gaps unfilled. So that's what we're looking at all the way down to the 1 hour. Let's go down to the 30-minute and just fill in that dangerous area where there's a gap. You can also see rocket crop flash filled at 66 cents, and then one to the top side, an interrupted flash, which is always filled. Now, if another interesting artifact on the charts may well be the overall picture you see in, I'll go up and load a different chart for this guy. On the 4 hour and the extended hours here. Where I wanted to make a point, but I'm obviously got my indicator set up differently here. 1 hour, there it is. The rocket crop interrupted flash at 86 cents. Now, it has come to my attention that the extra hours on LivePerson, those flashes, very, very interesting the way in which they get filled and the volatility preceding those moves. And I think it's worth paying attention to that 86 level and where that chimes with the other things we were saying on the regular hours on 4 hour time frame, and with regards to the harmonic targets and looking up and testing that 200 period moving average. It's right at that level at the minute. And testing that in a downward sloping trend, not all that unbelievable, to put it lightly. So if you're taking the Fibonacci retracement, then you can see a 50% retracement, 50% test, not even getting above halfway on that move back to where it came from. That would still be considered in those terms bearish. And so it could make that move, price could make that move all the way up to 86 cents without challenging or being tested with regards to the overall structure and price. So it might not be that difficult. And if it is that price gets there without much resistance, then it's going to go on and see how much further it can get. Of course it is. So there's an awful lot of positivity, and the sentiment around this stock has completely flipped. We've just done a share count on the Discord, and I think we're at approximately 10.3 or 10.5 million shares, which accounts for a great whopping chunk of LivePerson. So congratulations. Really making a difference in the market. So that's LivePerson. This was a technical analysis update for LivePerson to explain where price came from, what sort of formation it's actually in at the minute with regards to why it is price might be going the way it's going. And if you haven't seen a recent video I've done on LivePerson, this is the way price could evolve in those moves to the top side. Because if it does make its way back up and break 69 or that or thereabouts, and then hold a 236 or thereabouts, which is also in around these previous lows, then it could easily find support and put in an inverted head and shoulders, which would give you a measured move up towards target 4. Target 4, that's confluent with the A point on our harmonic and the breakdown there. As you can see, number 1 spot 44 is target 4 on our horizontals. Target 3 coming in around the C point up to around 120, and target 2 See that coming in top side of a gap, which why we adjusted that take profit target a little bit. But target 1 on this deep crab is back up at around 85 cents. So you could easily see price action heading in that direction for a variety of reasons, that it wouldn't challenge the macro structure, and then it would be the evolution of something that might then turn positive, and then, you know, extrapolate price action. We're obviously hypothetical here with regards to how price might evolve, but should it do so, there would be a clear route for it to try and test higher again. And all of that onto the weekly time frame is in what would look to be a sideways trend. So it's not completely out of the question. You could see a bounce at these levels and come up and test this horizontal resistance, which is also the macro 236. It's very possible that would happen. The only reason that anyone that's a technical analyst would look at this chart and think otherwise would be emotional reasons, because it has managed to poke its head back above the 50 simple on the weekly a couple of times. It's got bullish divergence here. It's managed to push its head back above the center line, the RSI. All of that is after a massive dramatic downtrend, and price action's left a number of reasons why it might go up and test higher. If you go up to, down to the daily, put all that back on the chart, you can see that there's a gap that's not closed until around 235, 240, another in at around $9. And this thing's just managed to recapitalize. So an awful lot of opportunity. And if there is a reverse split, there's going to be an even smaller float. There's a very voracious shareholder block buying an awful lot of shares here, making a real difference for the company. So you'll remember when LivePerson managed to achieve compliance despite having previously been delinquent, and we all celebrated a lot because a large part of that was due to our buying activity. Those share price, those efforts we made, share prices went up, they went down. A lot of people holding, building up a large position, and now we've managed to double the share count from the last time we took a tally. So there is no satiation to the amount we're looking to buy, and I'm exactly the same as the community, buying an awful lot of this thing, continue to do so, and think I've got a really strong basis in why I think it's going to go to top side. Very good reasoning. The company itself, the board, the opportunity, the market sector, and the macro conditions really lean into giving LivePerson opportunity. And then when you look at the market dynamics, then you think that there's a real opportunity for a degree of a squeeze opportunity coming in. And put all of that together, as the reverse split reduces the float, it does seem that the conditions are there for a real opportunity. Now, does that LivePerson ever look back then, is the question we were asking. From a technical point of view, what I really wanted to show at that point was that technical analysis is obviously about identifying the trend, but that, when it turns out to be down, doesn't necessarily tell you the whole story, because trends change. And that's what we do here on the channel. We closely track those trends. We understand those factors that might lead to a reversal, and we measure closely all dimensions of price to see if it matches up with a trading strategy that allows us to manage our risk and provide us with an outside return. And that's exactly what LivePerson is. It's not the next Nvidia, right? It's definitely not the safest stock on the market, but it does offer a massive outsized return. It is, at these levels, quite easy to manage your risk, despite the fact that the trend has been so dramatically difficult for some people to manage. But then put it in context here on the weekly time frame, we started talking about this thing when it was in here at around 54 cents. And then price action is higher than that now. Now, not dramatically, but it is. And it's been up as high as $2 and change. So that is what's controlling people's emotions. That's what affects the sentiment. If this is a double bottom, then that's it put in. It's tested the wick low. You look left and you see there's plenty of reasons for that to be the end of the story. Does it need to fill a tiny little gap there? No. I mean, there's gaps, but it's come down and filled here after years and years topside petering out around $70. It can go up to $70 again before it even looks at that gap. So is it going to look back? That's not really, from a trader's perspective, the question, though it is quite exciting to see it move so much. The question is, can you manage your risk adequately at this point in price? And the way you define that was the cost of the trade. And the way you work out whether it's worth it or not, well, if you knew how to do that and I trusted your abilities, then I would already know you on the Discord, because you would have been able to make a really obvious common sense decision that joining it for free, www.discord.gg/rockyoutcrop, was an incredibly easy and obvious decision that you should have made. So if you haven't done that, then you're probably going to mess up everything else as well.
Previously on Listen.
What the hell is going on?
Now here I am thinking the funnies are the nicest part of the paper.
Zip. Trying to get her a peek over this ridge as soon as I can. Sonar's pinging up something now. Hey, you want to switch feeds?
Roger that. I'm headed on a bearing of about 137 from the coordinates we pulled off our guy's map. But don't hold your breath. Magnetometer is picking up a hell of a lot of anomalies down here.
Chest full of doubloons?
Keep dreaming, Ron. Let's swing around on the next grid and recalibrate.
Are you getting this? What? What's up? It's an airplane. Oh my God. It's Oceanic 815.
Jan 1, salvage vehicle in the Indian Ocean. For more than 2 months, it's been scouring the depths of the Sudan Trench off Bali in search of the remains of sunken trading ships. Late last night, the Christian deployed 2 remotely operated vehicles, or ROVs, that verified what the National Transportation Safety Board had long feared.
How do you want your egg, Sam? So what happened? They found that missing plane? Yeah. Yeah.
Even with this tragic discovery,
Dan, why are you so upset?
without any sense of closure, these tremendous depths, salvage confirmed that
Don't play like this!
Check under your seat!